All right, we're ready to begin.
All right, it is 4 o'clock and I'm on September 15th, 2021, and I will call this City of Lacie Lodging Tax Advisory Committee meeting to order. Welcome everybody, and thank you for being here. Our first agenda item is an approval of the minutes from September 8th, 2021.
So move.
Okay.
Seconded.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, well, then those minutes are approved. Moving on, I just wanted to just kind of go over our rules, regulation, mandates. The function of this body is to look at applications that promote tourism and tourism related activities in and for the City of Lacie. I also just wanted to throw out a reminder that even if we do not ask you to come in and speak and explain the monies that you're asking for, does not mean that you are automatically approved for those funds. We review all of the applications one at a time with the entire committee. And so with that, we have our lodging tax application presentations queued up, and it looks like each program will provide a 5-minute presentation addressing questions raised by the committee with 5 minutes of follow-up questions from the committee. And so as long as we're all in agreement with that, I believe we can begin with our first presenter, who should be Annette Pitts, CEO of Experience Olympia and Beyond. Is Annette Pitts available? Administrator? If we need to.
Yes, I'm promoting her right now. There she is.
Thank you.
Hello. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can you guys see my slideshow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
All right.
nice.
Just go ahead and just move right along, and I will probably talk really fast because there's a lot of information to share in 5 minutes. We view this arrangement very much as a partnership, so I want that to always be kept at the forefront of your minds. I understand we need to really delineate how our work is different from that of our peers in the industry. And I guess the most simple thing that I can say is that while many of the organizations in Thurston County and in Lacie are creating projects that serve the community individually, 100% of our work is targeted to bring people in from 50+ miles away. And we don't just do this one time a year for one event. We do this all year round. So that is the first thing I want to say. And I guess the second thing I'll say is that everything that we do is rooted in research, and it is measurable and it's verifiable, and it brings direct economic impact to the City of Lacie. We link Lacie to major tourism markets. We're not just taking on a body of work and hoping for the best, and like, if anybody comes, great. We have very clear targets in mind for everything that we're doing. So whether it's advertising, if it's print, online, if we're using new technologies, if it's public relations or our visitor guide, we have a very clear target in mind that we're trying to bring to the City of Lacie. I want to talk a little bit about our increase in ask. This was discussed at the previous meeting. Our total ask this year is $119,000, and well, $429,000. In the previous meeting, I think there was an erroneous statement saying that somebody thought that our increase was a 50% increase. It's actually a 19.43% increase. Again, I want to reiterate, these funds are for year-round operations, not for a one-time deal. And we did a lot of research and saw we've not actually asked for any kind of an increase since 2012. And we know the world has changed a lot. The number of rooms that are existing in the city of Lacie has changed a lot. Certainly we did add in sports tourism marketing, but we've not asked for an increase. So I just wanted to bring that up. This slide is going to show you just a little bit of measurable economic impact. I'm not going to get into the weeds here, but just guide your eyes to the red arrow. I took a look at one zip code within Lacie that we can track our work and measure exactly the output of that work. And it's over $2 million just for one zip code within Lacie. So not only are we doing active work year round on behalf of Lacie, we can document it. So our specific request, when I started in this job back in June, I took 3 weeks. I had over 40 meetings with stakeholders. Many of them were from Lacie. We also did a stakeholder engagement survey where we asked people, you know, what do you think of the work that our office is doing? What would you like to see us do different? What are the new areas of opportunity that you see for your community? And we asked those same questions of travelers. And so the ask that we put in here of this $19,000 plus, it speaks exactly to what your community and your stakeholders asked us to do. So we've added in funds for new co-branding to promote Experience Lacie. We're going to expand Experience Lacie's place in a new website. We're going to be expanding our research and reporting. We're going to be sharing a whole new library of images and video clips of Lacie. We're developing a new video series where Lacie will be included as well. We're expanding our public relations program, promoting Lacie to media, to social media influencer partnerships. We're doing targeted digital advertising to bring folks to Lacie. We are expanding our guides to include an Experience Lacie guide. I want to speak to a comment in the previous meeting where somebody I think was maybe a little confused that the work that we're doing around sports is a duplication of what is happening at the RAC. We are not duplicating the work of the RAC. We are working hand in hand in partnership with the RAC. We have a sports commission advisory committee. We make sure that Lacie is involved and leading in this effort. Sue with Lacie Parks is a committee member of the advisory committee. She's also our board's vice president now. So Lacie is well represented in the work that we're doing. So your wishes are definitely informing the work that we're doing. We also have a 10-person committee of community stakeholders that are helping inform the work that we're doing around sports and for the RAC. You know, one of the things I think folks get confused about is when they look at the RAC and they say, well, the RAC is selling, you know, space at the RAC, and Experience Olympia is supposed to be selling space at the RAC. Oh no, this is a duplication. It's not a duplication. The RAC is handling inbound requests. When somebody comes to them from the community and wants to use the fields, they field those calls. We do outbound sales initiatives. We will send Jeff to the other side of the country, or we'll put together a whole new program and try to bring people again from 50 plus miles away so that we are compliant with the RCWs guiding this process, because we know we have to be bringing people in from 50 plus miles away according to the law that guides the work that we do. We're reaching people through all the various phases of their decision-making process through the channels that we have so that we can bring people in to use the RAC. We are adding on supplemental layers to support things that the RAC can't do. So we are there to, let's say a team comes in from another place in the state or outside of the area. They don't know about, you know, what are the hotels that might be new? Who has new developments or renovations? What are the new dining options? What are the other activities that they can do in the area so that we can increase the length of their stay? This is something that we do supplemental to what the RAC does. They are so busy running this operation and dealing with the things that they have there. We need to work in partnership to support them. We also provide a lot of support through bid fees or rights fees. So if somebody is trying to choose, well, either bring my team to Lacie or I could go to Yakima. Jeff has budget to where he can offer, hey, you know what? We can pay for your referees. We can pay for your porta potties. We can get you lanyards, and we can sweeten the deal to support that decision-making process in a way that the RAC can't, so that it benefits them. And I just want to one last time say we are not duplicating what they're doing. We're trying to help what they are doing. And then a final, I guess, message is on reporting. We report our economic impact. We support the RAC and try to help them be able to report their economic impact too. We see them as huge partners in everything that we do. So we want to reiterate to you, this is a partnership. And I kind of spoke to this in that slide earlier that had the big red arrow. We have a whole new way that we can track visitation now. We will be able to very specifically look at any place in Thurston County and tell you exactly how many travelers are coming in from outside of the area that meet the criteria of the RCWs guiding this process. We'll not only be able to tell you, are they from 50 plus miles away? Where are they from? Where did they go? What did they do? So that's a whole new level of value that we're adding. And then this final slide is, I want to make a point that, you know, this last year, even during the worst of times, during a pandemic, when all of us were just struggling to figure out how do we, you know, safely and compliantly message around coming to our area. We did this, and we took that $20,000 investment and we turned it into almost $300,000 of economic impact. That is no small feat in the middle of a pandemic. So we add value to what all of the applicants are trying to do. So the last thing I'll say is we want to work together, and the city of Lacie is going to get out of this what you put into it. It's like any other business investment or partnership. Outputs are dependent on the inputs. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Can you, there you go. Does anybody want to ask any questions at this time?
What is your staffing level compared to a year ago?
So a year ago, we had whittled down to 2 people, and Jeff and Kelly were doing the work of a complete team. Right now, obviously, I'm here. I'm in the position of CEO. We still have Jeff and Kelly, and we just brought on a marketing director. Her name is Allie Laritz, and we will be bringing on an office support person, an office administrator soon. So we are really, we are gearing up. We want to support the work that everybody's doing, but we know we come at it from a different viewpoint. You know, we're not trying to guide people who are in the community through the community. That is the work of other organizations. We're trying to support that by bringing people in from 50 plus miles away.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the Experience Lacie website that you're working on?
So we are going to be working on a brand new website. It's still going to have the main domain will be Experience Olympia, but we're going to be employing a series of subdomains. One of the areas that I've heard from Lacie and other regions of Thurston County is that, you know, that they didn't see themselves in that Experience Olympia brand. And you need to have a way to message around your own community name, and I totally get it. So what we're going to be doing is we're taking the subdomain of experiencelacie.com. That is going to be employed inside of the Experience Olympia domain. So let's say we create an Experience Lacie visitor guide. On that, we'll put experiencelacie.com. The person can type in experiencelacie.com. They'll go to that site. It is within the scope of our site, but it's going to be co-branded to Experience Lacie. It's going to list all of the things to do within Lacie that a traveler might want to engage with. And then they'll easily be able to navigate back through the rest of our site, or they can just simply go back to where they came from. But so it gives you a way to be tied into our branding work, but you still have an identity of your own that you can promote independently. And we can promote independently. Because we totally get that there are things that are within Lacie that we want to market individually from Olympia. So, I mean, we're excited to do that, but we need your partnership to do that.
Does anybody else have any?
Oh, yeah, I do. As So are you still in the smaller office space? So you've reduced your office space from a couple years ago, right? And
Right.
and then my other part of that question is, do you have that ambassador program still going?
So right now, we are in that smaller office space and we literally do not have enough seats for our employees. So I have Jeff, who's right here. So we are in a very small space with a lot more bodies than what we have room for right now. And regarding the ambassador program, Ruth is talking about the Certified Tourism Ambassador Program. And this is definitely still in effect. Jeff actually just taught a CTA class, is the abbreviation for it, today. Just signed on 35 new ambassadors this month. And if you're not familiar with the Certified Tourism Ambassador Program, that's a way that we empower front-end workers all throughout, whether it's Lacie, Tumwater, Olympia, Tenino, to be able to accurately tell the stories to our travelers that are important to your area. So that's going to continue on. And I really honestly see that growing. I think it's a need. So I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of Jeff out in the community, providing, knock on wood, that COVID lets us. If not, here we are, we have Zoom.
Okay, and the other question, and I don't mean to hog all the questions, but hey, so you're saying Experience Lacie and we have a Discover Lacie, and now we have an Experience Lacie. Do you talk to the chamber? And
So I definitely do talk to the chamber. We have a really good partnership with the chamber. I actually wrote a letter of support for their application for their visitor services for the Lacie LTAC. There's a very different role for chambers and visitor and convention bureaus. Generally speaking, your chamber is going to actively try to serve your community. You're going to try to use something like Discover Lacie to help people choose to relocate, right? Or they're going to have services for their chamber members, which may be real estate agents, insurance agents. They could be in the tourism industry as well, but they have a very specific purview in the work that they're doing, and they do a really good job at it. It's a very different audience that they're serving than what we're serving. Our audience is 50 plus miles away. If you looked at the RCWs, which I'm sure you have, it clearly states in there that everything that these funds back have to be seen through that lens. And that's purely what we're created for. We have to do this year round. And that's why we have to work so closely with our chambers of commerce, because they're really good at what they do. And then that frees us up to do what we're good at doing.
thank you.
How does that sound? Pardon my speech impediment.
Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation and your time this afternoon, Annette. We definitely appreciate it. And we will certainly be reaching back out.
Fantastic. If you have any other questions, anytime, any of you, just look us up. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Next we have Jill Barnes, Washington Center for Performing Arts Executive Director, bringing her presentation.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
All right,
Hi.
so the switch, it all gets crazy on the screen. So great, you can hear me, I can see you, you can see me. And thank you very much for inviting us to speak with you today, or me, representing the organization. I want to say a big hearty thank you for the continued LTAC support for the center, even when we weren't even permitted to be open to the public. We have diligently worked to provide a safe space for our local artists to perform in and, record for streaming or for special events, and to create policy to safely welcome audiences back indoors for live entertainment. You may recall probably last year that we lost a substantial portion of our staffing and our administrative staff. I'm thrilled that we have recently rehired 2 new administrative positions. Plus, we're working on training new box office associates and front of house hourly staff to deal with upcoming events because they're happening tonight. We have one tonight. We've spent the better part of 4 months retooling again policies that will complement the state guidelines and to best serve our community. In addition to having a fully vaccinated volunteer and employee workforce, we are following industry best practices and are requiring a proof of vaccination or a negative test for all ticket buyers. This requires a lot of resources and management. It's also interesting, a requirement of many of our touring artists for them to come to a venue. So I'm pleased to share that this week kicks off our 21-22 season. I'll admit our ticket sales have been slow, but we're optimistic that people are hungry to return to live events. And I have some basis for this besides people just saying it. In early July, when I'll call that the honeymoon period, when we thought a lot of the pandemic business was behind us, we put a show on sale for October 9th and we sold it out in 1 week. We sold it out so quickly. And so I know that people are looking to return to live events. And here's a little fun fact. I just saw that we took a phone call from someone in Houston begging to be on the wait list for that show. So it's great to see that there's other people outside of our region that are looking at our events and looking to travel and come in and pick up a great show. The reality is that it will be several years for us to rebuild to where we were pre-pandemic. We do anticipate this season may be another difficult year. And we hope to return to our pre-pandemic levels, but it might take a little bit of time as people get used to going out to indoor public gatherings again. But we're on our way and we're doing our best. So we have requested $30,000, and the question posed to us for tonight was to talk about that $5,000 increase. So I want to tell you a little bit about, and we do request the funding to help support our marketing activities. And I want to tell you a little bit about our marketing department. Well, actually, we haven't officially had one for over a year. We really lost everybody in that department, but we just hired a great new marketing director. She has nonprofit and commercial arts marketing experience, which is pretty unique and a really wonderful opportunity for our region. She's eager to connect with citizens and businesses in Lacie as we rebuild the live events and tourism industry. And we're just really trying to seize this unique moment to rebuild our marketing strategies for the realities of our current time. So I'll itemize a couple of those without getting too far in the weeds. But for example, digital marketing, we're putting more money and strategy into that than in the past. This feeds into the manner that a lot of people get their information, but it's also an immediate call to action. There's a broader range of people that we can reach out to. And in some ways, with public indoor gathering hesitancy, we think that there might be a little bit more last minute ticket purchases. And so that's something that we can quickly pivot to add or take away from if we need to change a digital marketing strategy. With print marketing, like paid advertisements, we are focusing on better tracking for efficacy. This will inform smarter budgetary allocations for the future. Direct mail, we paused direct mail for a long time. Well, not for a long time, I should say, when the pandemic hit, but all of a sudden we're realizing mailing seems new again because so many people have been focusing on digital marketing. So we do want to upload that strategy again, and we'll be sending out seasonal announcements and seasonal offers to a broader list. And we're excited to be able to track that and see where that lands. Also, we think that this is a really great time to put some experimental marketing dollars out there and to test new markets and try and bring in new audiences. Yeah, why not? This is the time to do it and to see where that lands. Our email newsletters, people have been signing up more and more for it. And so we're sending out more content that way, which of course there's more expense with that if you're doing it more frequently or have more names on that list. So we're increasing that list. And then if you don't know this, we do offer a la carte marketing services to anyone that rents the theater. So not just when we present events, but for example, we have Pat Metheny in the center tonight, and their promoter was able to use our email lists and get the word out broader. Again, our website is a place for rapidly changing information, and we are diligently trying to keep it current and of all things related to our events and tickets. We anticipate creating electronic programs that will also live on our site. And so in connection with our website and our social media activity, we want to engage have more new content creation and engagement to attract more ticket buyers and interest as they consider coming to our community. And what else can they do while they're seeing a show? So again, we're really thrilled to be reopening this week. We know that there's still a rocky road of recovery ahead for us, which is why we are requesting the additional $5,000 in support. In fact, it takes even more resources, meaning like people, time, and funding to sell a show for 400 or 600 people than it does a sold out show for 983 that we sold out in 6 days. So we do need the support as much as our community needs performance opportunities on stage and live entertainment.
Thank you, Jill. Does anyone have questions for Jill? Seeing none, I will thank you for your time and hope you have a great show tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
good.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Okay, and our next presenter will come from the American Lung Association, Susan Altman, who is their executive director. It looks like we have 2 questions that she's prepared to answer, and then maybe if you guys have any other questions after she's done, if you want to bring her in.
Hello,
Are you Sue Altman?
I'm Susan Altman.
Susan Altman. Hi, Susan.
Season, S-E-A-S-O-N.
Season.
Yes.
Hi, Season. Sorry about that. Welcome to our LTAC meeting.
Thank you.
You will have the floor for 5 minutes. So try to keep your presentation to 5 minutes or less if you can.
Definitely.
And then
I'm
we'll
gonna
have a period after your presentation for questions.
I'm going to share a screen.
Okay.
That looks like that's working for you. Okay. Excuse me. So Reach the Beach Washington is a fundraising event benefiting the American Lung Association and supporting our mission to save lives by improving lung health and preventing lung disease. It is a point-to-point cycling event on a 100-mile route that starts in Lacie at the Rec and ends in Westport. We have 4 start locations. The 100-mile start that starts in Lacie, a 77-mile that starts down in Little Rock, a 44-mile that starts in Alma, and a 25-mile that starts in Cosmopolis, all ending out at a finish line party in Westport. This year we're ecstatic and super proud to have our presenting level sponsors, Experience Olympia, and so we've been very thankful for their partnership in supporting this event. This is a fully supported fast and flat end of season in-person ride that's scheduled for next Saturday if anybody would like to come out and ride. Reach the Beach this year, we are our post-COVID numbers, we are trending about 300 participants, which is in line with our pre-COVID numbers. We had about 400 people in 2019, and our height, we had 800 participants. Our participants our 90% of our participants come from outside of the Lacie 50-mile radius. Half of those 90% come from Portland zip codes, and half of those 90% come from Seattle zip codes. Along with the established partnerships with City of Westport, Grays Harbor LTAC, Experience Olympia and Beyond, and the Westport LTAC, participants are recruited through a marketing plan consisting of digital marketing, sponsorship visibility, and grassroots recruiting targeting Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, and Portland. Reach the Beach Washington is a subsidiary event to our parent event called Reach the Beach Oregon. That event has been around for about 35 years and pulls in upwards of 3,000 riders. Our Oregon event is typically held the weekend of Mother's Day in May. And so our communication channels are actually a year-round channel. So our website, Facebook, and all of our email communication are going to our participants year-round. So an investment is really seeing year-round investment. Additionally, we are looking to expand the Reach the Beach brand into California in next year in our 2023 cycling season. And so a passport program is in the works for participants to engage in all 3 of our cycling events. We didn't intend to produce a destination event, but we have produced a destination event. We're in our 5th year, and we see really strong results pulling, as I said, our participants from both Portland and Seattle. The investment that we're asking you to make is to support our marketing and acquisition plan. And so in my application, I detailed a $15,000 marketing budget that consists of a new social media lead generator campaign that this year we spent about $3,500. It also consists of a $5,500 campaign with The Stranger and the Portland Mercury. That's a dual spend and in-kind donation. So it's a $5,500 spend for a $17,000 value. We also brought in some temporary staffing to handle the call load of the lead generator campaign. So we ran this campaign the months of June, July, and August. That $3,500 netted us over 800 warm contacts, people that gave us their contact information for us to reach back out and give them more information about our ride. And finally, the final piece of that $15,000 marketing budget is a partnership with Cascades Bike and their STP, their Seattle to Portland event. We find that their audience is exactly our wheelhouse, and so we we customize a partnership with them where we have visibility both at their start line, their finish line, and their center point. We also are able to provide bag stuffers and have direct communication to their registered participants. I do have slides that have specifics on any of those marketing details, and those are also included in the printed application that I provided. Any questions?
I have a couple comments.
Great.
That's a long ride.
It's basically downhill, Malcolm. We'll just push.
No, Susan. I have ridden to Westport on my motorcycle, and I'm familiar with that ride. But I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, we're very excited.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say we're very excited to include Thurston County Bike Trails this year. With it, again, introduction from Experience Olympia, they introduced us to your trail program, and so pulling our cyclists off of some of your roads onto your bike trails, and definitely looking for a repeat traveler to come back into your community.
Is that how you got looped into this? How you found us is through Experience Olympia?
Actually, we've received LTAC dollars from the Grays Harbor LTAC and the Westport LTAC in the past, and because of your funding cycle, it's always been a little difficult to submit an application when I'm in the throes of producing an event next Saturday, hoping for no rain.
So you found out about us through the other LTACs?
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. Does anybody else have any questions for Susan? Okay.
I do not.
Seeing none, I will say that I'm very glad that you chose our city as a start place for your event. And we think the Rack is a phenomenal place, and it's a great place to start any event. It's very close to the freeway. There's a lot of amenities around there, and I hope your event goes well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming. Okay. And it looks like we have 3 more on our agenda for today. Our next one is the group Tomorrow, and their founder and head of talent, Kristin Green. Is Kristin Green available? Hi, are you Kristin Green? Hi, Kristin.
Yes,
You're on,
hi, I'm Kristin.
you're on mute. Okay, there you are.
Thanks for
Hi,
having
welcome.
me.
You're welcome. Welcome to our Lacie LTAC meeting. And I understand that you have a presentation.
I do. First question for the group, did anybody not have a chance to read or see what I sent? I don't want to get too redundant with anything. Great. Okay, let me get my screen shared here.
Okay, and if you could just keep your presentation to 5 minutes or less.
You got it.
And you have the floor.
I'm unable to hit the screen share button. Not sure what that's about. Is that maybe something on the admin side?
Potentially. We won't start your 5 minutes until you for sure.
It's still just grayed out is the issue.
Okay, we'll just give our admin just a moment to see if we can get you lined up. And while we're waiting on that, is that your guitar back there?
It is, yeah. It's just a beater, nothing special.
Well, as a music instructor, I always say if you can make the junk sound good, you can make the good stuff sound great.
Right. Yeah, I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, that's what I tell my students, at least. They believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing that should be preventing you from sharing your screen. It might be an error on your Zoom client, and but there you have all the permissions to share your screen.
Yeah, it's just grayed out for me, unfortunately.
Do you have a copy of your presentation? Maybe you can email it to John.
Sure. Give me 1 second.
And he can facilitate, or I don't know if that works well for you, John, or not.
Yes, either myself or Nicole should be able to do that.
What's the best email for that, guys?
You can send it to jkoch at ci.lacie.wa.us.
.us. Sorry about this, y'all. There you go. It is on the way. Yeah, I guess I'll just start though, if that's all right. And then you guys can bring this up. If you've all read it already, the concept is a small music festival. It is one thing I'm super passionate about. I've been doing this in the music business for almost 17 years now. And I think there's a really big need here in Thurston County. The site is at the end of the port. There's 2 really big parking lots there. I'm thinking about the lower one that's kind of got the overlook. 25 to 4,500 people a day, a 2-day thing. A lot of regional acts and gunning for a couple of bigger nationals. Let's see if that's going to work for you. There you are. And then if you just hit present there.
Top right.
Top right, yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's hidden by a window here.
Cool. So that's a little logo. You can hit next. This is the vision and the mission. I think it's pretty straightforward. Again, if you've already seen it, I'm not going to read it to you. But you know, the big thing is driving seasonal employment, commerce, fun, and tourism to the county. Like I said, a lot of the musical talent will be local to Olympia, Lacie, and then the immediate Pacific Northwest. If you want to get to the next one. This is just some inspiration. I'm not sure if you know any of these festivals. They're all, top row there is regional, bottom row has a couple of outliers from some smaller festivals around the country. And next one. This is kind of a idea of some of the acts that we would have. Up top, you'll see we'll do some local bands to kind of break in the morning or, you know, early afternoon, and then working into your headliners. That's no particular order there on the bottom right. And then the demographic over there on the left, you know, the 25 plus, 21 plus crowd, all genders, music lovers, barbecuers, you know, people who like to have a good time. You know the types. Next. Location, you can hit the next one on this. You guys obviously know where we're located here. This is a general site map. Like I said, the lower parking lot here, which is furthest left, we'll have the stage there. The upper parking lot, I have mostly just looking at parking. And that night market I'll come back to. I have a specific idea that's for Olympia, but you can get to the next one. Here's some expectations. The big thing here I think to pay attention to is like, my goal is to not make this monstrosity of a music festival. It's to keep something really manageable and fun, hence the block party branding. By year 3, what I'd really love to do is add a second one. I'd like the branding to have caught on by that time, where people like know what to expect and really want to enjoy it. And I haven't picked out a site for that yet, somewhere else, obviously in Thurston County. And then, yeah, by year 5, I'd love to have both of those things hopefully be in the shoulder seasons to, again, like help with the tourism when it's not the most obvious time of year to be here. So maybe one in May and then one at the end of August or early September. You can hit the next one. And then what's in it for you guys, which was a question you asked me to explain. There's a statistic over here on the left from NIVA, which is the National Independent Venue Association, which was a group of us that formed when the pandemic started. And it says for every $1 spent on ticketing at small venues, which also includes festivals, a total of $12 of economic activity is generated, restaurants, hotels, taxis, et cetera. We're thinking about a $25 ticket for what it's worth. You know, you can do the math. Everything we're talking about here is quantifiable. So heads and beds, you know, we'll have great CMR tracking, email list tracking. I'd like to do hotel codes, you know, just so we can get those numbers on who's coming in from out of state. Mentions in the radio ads, far north as far north as KXP, and then far south as Portland. Same with any of the print and digital ads, you know, we can put you guys in there as much or as little as you'd like, and focus on what your priorities are as a city. On the website, we'll of course have like a getting here section and a things to do section. And I'd really lean on y'all to tell me, you know, what your priorities are. Is there a specific hotel property you're after? Would you, you know, what's the newest thing that you're trying to get people to? You know, the site right now, you guys are less than five miles, like hotels, multiple hotels in Lacie are less than 5 miles from the site. So your consumers coming from out of town, you know, that's an easy commute for them, as simple as some of the hotels in Olympia as well. And then the night market, I told you we'd come back to. What I'd like to do, I think on maybe Friday night, is do a night market. And then originally I thought it would be on site, but I think with LTAC funds, you know, if you guys are interested in it, we could do it in Lacie. Similar to kind of like a battle of the bands, which is like pretty old school, but, you know, grabbing one of your, you know, smaller live music venues and partnering with them for a month and having local bands duke it out for a slot on the main stage. I think that draws, you know, local Lacie bands and crew to the cross promotion of the festival. And then again, on the website with a where to stay section, we can list, you know, whatever your priority locations are. Next. This is just some of the highlights that I love about Lacie. And just, I pulled that little graphic from the Discover Lacie website. You know, we can talk about any of this stuff in, you know, for either in-kind kind of promotion or, you know, paid stuff, whatever. Again, I'm really going to lean on y'all for what your what you're needing to promote as a city. And I think that's it. Might be one or two more. This is a big picture marketing plan. Again, this was in the presentation, so we don't need to spend a ton of time on that. We can get to the next one. This is sponsorship stuff. This slide is in the deck for, you know, private sponsors, which we're also after, but just to give you an idea of what we're telling them. That was also in your packet, so you can go to the next one. These are frequently asked questions. Again, this was also in the paperwork I turned in. And I think that that's it. So you know, open it up to any questions that you might have.
Have you picked out any billboards on the I-5 corridor that might suit your needs?
Well, there's one at 4th and Steel Street in Olympia that I just think is really cute, and I'd really like to do that one. The company that I got a quote from has sent me a map and a location, and there's just a handful of them. Ironically, it's, you know, 5 seems to be the magic number there. 1 is pretty expensive and 5 is only a little bit more. So it would be, I wouldn't go north with them, I'd go south. And I guess one thing to mention too, just in terms of like bringing people into the city, and this was in your packet, but just to reiterate it, is in the music business, there's this term called a radius clause, and it's usually reserved for your top 2 headliners. And essentially it says, you know, you can't play within X amount of miles. This is going to be your specific play in the Northwest region. And I'd implement that on any of our big headliners. So that would ensure that folks were coming up from Portland and down from Seattle to see it. And the bands wouldn't be playing those towns as well.
Gotcha. Military kids are always looking for something to do.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's looking for something to do these days.
Yeah. I think you've shared, I think you've covered the 2 questions that we had. Details about your event and how this event will create more tourism and tourism related activities in the city of Lacie.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody want to go beyond that or have any further questions before we move on to our next presenter?
Were there any sites, I will go, this is Chad. Thank you for your presentation. I am curious, was there any considerations to Lacie properties for this festival versus the port properties?
Not quite yet. The port was, in full disclosure, not my first choice. I've looked around at a few places and I was directed that way and drove out there and was like, wow, I can really see this. So I mentioned this too, all of my applications are in with the LTAX and with the port, and I'm just kind of sitting here in a little bit of a holding pattern. If you have sites, I'd love to look at it, you know, love to take a look. I mean, I'm closer to y'all than I am to Olympia physically. And I really love the night market idea for you guys specifically. So I've just started scouting my little locations there, but just trying to pull through these LTAC stuff first.
Excellent, excellent. Understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Scott. In terms of sites that we might have, is that something that we can partner her with Jen, or is that something that we?
Yeah, that'd be a good outreach with our parks department. Especially our parks would be probably the most likely venues.
Okay. Kristin, we have 29 parks in the city of Lacie.
Mm-hmm.
We pride ourselves on having, you know, some of the coolest parks that we think in Thurston County. The place that you picked out, no doubt has some good backdrop, you know, and anybody who's been to the Gorge can tell you that, you know, those kinds of backdrops go a long way. We feel that we may have something that could compete with that. We'd like to point you in the direction of our parks director, if that's all right?
Great, I'd love that.
Okay, we'll do that. Well, if nobody has any other questions, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, moving on, we've got 2 more. And next we have our Polynesian Association of Thurston County. I don't want to screw up this name, but it looks like Isaiah Vimoda, who is the chair of the Polynesian Association of Thurston County.
Yes, Isaiah here.
Hi, Isaiah.
How y'all doing?
Good. Welcome to our LTAC meeting. And we have 5 minutes. You have a 5 minutes to give your presentation. And then there's potentially a 5-minute question period after that.
Okay, sir.
Is that all right?
Yes, sir. No problem.
Okay,
Yes,
here we
sir.
go.
All right. So,
Floor is yours.
okay. Well, thank you, sir. Well, I was asked to come on and ask, I guess, a couple questions. Why the increase in my request from our first year, and what the funds will be used for. So but first of all, really, I'm thankful for the opportunity, to do so and really to apply for the LTAC. Our event is the Lacie Polyfest. So 2 years ago, we created the Lacie Polyfest, and then I think for those that were there, that attended or heard of it, it was very well attended. And again, that was my very first time doing, such things. So to answer the first question, why the increase? So when we started this event, well, again, let me back on. I guess the purpose of the event really is a community event to bring different, all walks of life, but really different ethnicity together into one place, to have fun, and really just watch free entertainment, and also bring in different vendors, different flavors from different cultures. So that was the whole thing. It was a free event. It was done at the rack and so on. So, and it was very well attended. So this was 2019. So it was kind of, just imagine building a plane while in flight. We've all seen that commercial there, and that's what we were doing. I've never created an event before, but I knew what it would take to run an event, really. So, and some of those things, like a stage, I'm not going to need a stage because it was an outdoor event. I'm going to need sound to amplify to the entire field. And of course, I knew up front the cost for the sports complex. So that was $1,500 for, the Saturday, Friday setup and Saturday, all day Saturday. I knew I was going to need insurance. So that was sort of big things that I knew up front. And also, I wasn't aware of LTAC until I think Kelly mentioned that probably I think maybe a few days before the closing of that year's for LTAC. So, again, she sent me the application. I completed the best I can, and I submitted what I have, and I know it was known at the time, my budget at the time. So, again, and the more we delve into our planning process, we learned that more stuff are needed. So most of the stuff was kind of out of our pocket, and those were the tents, the generators that needed later. As we came to, coordinate with the Department of Health, can find out that we need hand washing station, hand sanitation, up there. So again, those are things we didn't up front. We needed an ATM, we need a dirty water tank, and things of that nature. So the increase this year were really your lessons learned, things that we really kind of add to that initial request, for a successful event this year. For the future. We planned for that last year, but it didn't happen. And of course, we kind of planned for this year again, but COVID, so we didn't do it. We didn't go. So for next year, so that's why my budget, request, I think it was up to about 10,000, 11,000, and those were the added stuff that we kind of needed as we were building that plane while in flight. So that was the cost right there. And what would the fund be used for? Really, it would be used for the purchase, really to run a successful event. So everything I asked for is the gist of these equipment needed for a successful event. How we were able to make it at the first event, mostly, like I said, the initial budget, but mostly we had some few fundraisers and a lot of out of pocket in the very beginning just to get us going. So pending any question.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You budgeted, or you're asking for more than appears your budget.
Yes.
Your expenses are outlined, and so can you answer to that?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I went over. Like I said, that's the all the equipment I included, the budget I submitted. Yeah. Those are the stuff I needed really for a successful event. Those are the stuff well, let me put it this way: the stage, the sound, the sports complex, the event insurance. Those are the things that were known up front in our previous, 2 years ago. So when I submitted my budget for the LTAC, really it was a last minute submission, and that the amount I submitted, I think was like almost $5,000. Then those were just the stuff that I had in mind at the time. But like I said, I think we're only like a week or two into planning. But then the more we got into planning, oh man, we're going to need a generator because people, the vendors, the food vendors, all the other vendors, the entertainers, we're going to need a generator to power all that stuff. So things of that nature, the hand sanitizer, I wasn't aware until we coordinated with the health department and so on. So all the itemized stuff out there, those are stuff that we either included in our first proposal or stuff that we acquire, throughout while we're building that plane in flight.
Okay, and the other one I have is you said you're a nonprofit, but you attached a business license?
Well, yeah, so we are a nonprofit. So when we started this thing here, we were just volunteers. We just want to do this for, but because we're receiving money through donations, I was told that we need a business license because we were receiving funds. That was the only reason why we submitted for that. We just want to make sure we do what's right. And again, I didn't know, it's part of building the plane while in flight. I didn't know that because I thought, hey, we're just a volunteer thing that we're doing. But because we were receiving donations from sponsors, I was told that we need to have a business license to do what right, to be right. So yes, ma'am. But that was for the whole. That's for the sole purpose. The only reason why we submit for the license, it was just for that fact because we received donations from some of our sponsors.
Scott, you had something?
Yeah, I was just going to add that the City of Lacie code does require nonprofits to have a business license. So the business license clearly identifies as a nonprofit.
Yes, sir.
Well, does anybody have anything else or any other questions for Isaiah? Okay, seeing none. Isaiah, thank you for your presentation today. And I was fortunate enough to attend your event in 2019 and had a fantastic time.
Thank you, sir.
We hope to see your event again in the future.
Yes, sir. And we appreciate all of you guys entertaining that. And like I said, everything really I asked for just minimal stuff. I mean, there's no extra fluff in there. It's just, I just need, like I said, we're not there to make money. Our purpose is there to give back to our community. And really nobody's making money out of it. It's just, that's what we want to do. It's just a bunch of us veterans and our families who organize this thing. And we want to continue to do this for the city of Lacie and all those who come from outside to be a part of. So we thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
All right. You have a great night.
Thank you, sir. And everybody else, thank you.
Okay. It looks like we have one more presentation, and it looks like we're doing pretty good on time as well. So it looks like we have Adam Stills, who is the office manager for Capital Lake Fair, Inc. And do we have Adam available?
Chair Miller, we have Karen Adams, who's actually going to be doing the presentation.
Good evening, Karen Adams.
Hi.
Will you be sharing a presentation with us today?
I will.
Okay, you will have 5 minutes.
I am quick. I'm a teacher.
After which we will set aside 5 minutes for questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, whoops. You don't want to see all that. Okay, well, welcome to Lake Fair, the fair that hasn't happened in 2 years. It's going to be interesting rebuilding, and that's what we're in the process of rebuilding because we have never carried a heavy revenue over from year to year. And Lake Fair's been around since 1957, and we all know that we support the nonprofit vendors. That Whole Food Row is for nonprofits in Thurston County, and we've given out over $400,000 in scholarships, and we have not been able to hold Lake Fair, but we're so looking forward to 2022. It will be interesting to see us rebuild. We actually did try and attempt it. We reached out to Andy Ryder to see if we could hold it in Lacie this year. Just wasn't a spot available in our short notice. But we definitely worked very hard at putting heads in beds. And oh, it hurt this year to cancel $10,000 worth of rooms at one hotel when we canceled Lake Fair. That was a hard one for us to do. But the parade alone brings in traveling bands. We get the Seattle band. We get some all city band from Puyallup. The floats are one of our biggest ones because we travel to other parades as part of the Northwest Festival Association. And we go to 14 to 18 parades a year. And in reciprocal, they come to us. We go to them, they come to us. And they bring in their royalty, their float drivers, their float crew, and festival heads. And those are just from beyond the 50-mile range. We have vendors out there. Between 38 and 60 vendors is where we're averaging. And all of them, because we're a 5-day festival, book hotel rooms, as well as our carnival workers and some traveling bands for our stage. So we definitely work hard at putting beds in heads. We have a very strong ambassador program, and that is our scholarship program for the girls. And we work events all throughout Thurston County, as well as in other communities. We carried the last court for 2 years because we didn't have the scholarship money, because our scholarship money is $22,000, and that is generated from Lake Fair. We have a $5,000 sponsor, but the rest covers from Lake Fair funds. But we do face painting, Lacie Spring Fair, Little Red Schoolhouse, Timberland Library, Hands-On Children's Museum, a lot of events in our programs. And that's the one thing I do want to see come back full force. We did a few events this year, but we weren't able to do as many as we would have liked due to the COVID and restrictions. But our funding from the lodging dollars is definitely going to help us with our marketing. That is one of our big ones. The sign on the back of the float is Olympia, Lacie, and Tumwater, and it promotes our Lake Fair week when we come. The other thing, believe it or not, that the money will be used for is to cover our insurance. We've had to let our insurance lapse because we haven't been able to pay it. We haven't been able to put on an event or go to any parades because they've all been canceled. Our insurance for Lake Fair week alone is $22,000. Well, for Lake Fair is $22,000. So we've got a little bit of money, but not enough for all of our traveling. We'll help with some of our rent, vehicle storage, and the fencing is $3,000. We have to fence the lake now, parts of the lake. So it'll help cover some of those. We're not asking for a lot, just $14,000. And mainly we really want to use it for our insurance so we can go out and promote Lake Fair again. That is where we took one of our biggest hits, that and our scholarship funds. So any questions?
Well, you certainly came in at less than 5 minutes. And we thank you.
I've been teaching all day. I'm so worn out.
Yeah.
And Adam is normally here, but we've actually had to let our office staff go because we can't afford to pay them. But he's going to come back and volunteer 10 hours a week just to do our books.
Well, I think you answered. Please explain the need for the $6,000 increase. And then number 2, please share how this event will create more tourism and tourism related activities in the city of Lacie. I know that we've had this event for a very long time.
I've been running it for the last 10 years.
Okay. And you know, tourism related activities in the city of Lacie. Do we see a lot of people come to Capitol Lake Fair from over the 50 miles away and do?
Actually, because your hotels are cheaper in Lacie.
Is that why they stay here?
Yeah.
I heard you say that $10,000 worth of rooms had to be canceled. But
yes, that was at Hotel RL. We had booked all of the incoming festival heads from out of state and Canada, Penticton. And when they canceled Lake Fair, I had to work with them to cancel just the rooms, the block of rooms that we had filled. That was 30 rooms.
And when you say festival head, can you share with the community what you mean by that?
Well, I'm the president of Lake Fair. for my third time, and it would be like the president of Wenatchee. Steve Lacie he was also their mayor. The president of Spokane, the president of Seafair, the Seafair Pirate Heads,
Okay.
Portland. So all the festival heads.
Okay, sure. That does sound painful.
It was painful for anybody to lose money. And when I was talking to Andy about it, trying to move it over to Lacie, Andy was going, "You're kidding. They're losing that much money." I said, "Yeah."
And when you guys talked about potential spaces in Lacie, what did you guys?
We
How'd that
actually, we drove out and looked at Thurston County Fairgrounds, and we looked at St. Martin's. St. Martin's is probably the most viable option for a move if we move. And we're meeting tonight at 6, but because you already have electrical hookups at St. Martin's, where for Food Row, one of our biggest expenses has been hooking up the electrical wires on Water Street for Food Row. You already have electrical hookups there. We could do the carnival over by where the baseball fields are, that big field there. We've looked at that. And then arts and crafts would be with Food Row in the parking lot piece over by Worthington Center. And we looked at, there's a church right around the corner, that circular church for parking. They could make money and shuttle people for parking over to Lake Fair and charge for parking there. So they could have a big fundraiser because you have better parking. Because downtown Olympia does not have as good of parking, but downtown in the Lacie area and then we were looking at the parade route could potentially be Ruddle Street, because Ruddle and College, you could go across Ruddle by Timberline High School in the cemetery and route people across. So we're not blocking traffic as an alternate route. So I've done a lot of thinking on it.
We've tried parades before, and that's a tough one to do in our city.
It is, but if you think Ruddle Street and College Street kind of mirror each other with two-way traffic. And so you could route them across over by that cemetery, right down from Timberline High School, through Camachin and up as an alternate route. So you wouldn't be blocking the traffic.
Sure, absolutely.
That was where my thinking, I drove the route. The issue is when you get up to where the circular church is and you've got your one-way streets.
Yeah, the
That was
problem.
where the issue was.
Yeah.
I drove it. I drove the route a couple times to try and figure it out.
Is this something that you guys are?
With Fun Fair, and Fun Fair has done parades on and off, and it's a challenge.
We've done Fun Fair because you used to come out and go up the one-way street and back around. And I actually thought about where they could go in through St. Martin's and out up 6th Avenue, and the big float trailers could park at the mall. I mapped it out as my backup plan.
Well, we certainly appreciate you thinking of us in that capacity. I certainly wouldn't mind seeing Capitol Lake Fair here in Lacie. I know that
Andy wouldn't either. He was pretty excited. We actually have talked about it a lot because the capital area downtown has changed in demographics right around the lake on Deschutes Parkway. So it's become it was a safety concern last year. And when our attempts to put on Lake Fair, so we had actually had to hire extra security.
And so doing it in Lacie would just be less expensive in terms of security and electricity.
Security, electricity, and we rent Heritage Park for $27,000.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've talked about it. It's interesting.
So 27,000 for rent, 22,000 for insurance, and all the other expenses.
And we play police bill is between 18 and 24. It's a roll of the dice because we pay the city of Olympia because they all have to be paid at overtime rate.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So,
Never in my life would I thought of Lake Fair coming to Lacie. So that's crazy.
we heavily talked about it this year. You'd be
Wow.
surprised.
I heard that rumor. Yeah.
Did you talk to Andy?
No, wasn't from Andy.
Well, Andy and Becky and we've talked about it, and if St. Martin's would be the best option for space. because the rec center is used too much and I don't want to cause damage to the grass. But then he said there's other parks, and then he thought about doing a water parade. Well, it's kind of hard for people with floats because that is our tourism piece, is the parade. And so without a parade, we lose a big chunk of the tourism dollars.
Does the school believe that, are they thinking that their property would be?
We actually, when we met with them, because we had 8 days notice from the city of Olympia that they weren't going to host Lake Fair this year. And so it was quickly for us to try and find another, well, it was 3 weeks notice, but 8 days by the time we got down to it, you know, when we were fine tuning. We actually had met with St. Martin's, and the issue for that exact week is they had their, what are they? Their people from out of country come, their international students were coming from out of town. And that was the week that they were hosting the International Student Week. So their facilities were used.
Gotcha. Well, here's to hoping that you guys continue those talks, and we appreciate your time tonight, and we appreciate your presentation, and we will call this section of presentations complete. And thank you again for your time, and we will be in touch with you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes round one of our presentations and question period that we've scheduled for 2 sessions. And it looks like we got 7 of them today. That means we probably have another 5 to come, or?
I think we had
6.
Was there 13, not 12?
There was 12.
Oh, okay. Was that?
So we had 6 today, and we have 6 scheduled for the 21st of September.
Okay, it only felt like more than 6. All right, gotcha. All right, well, I'm going to turn it over to, go ahead.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
And I don't know that he understood my question, but when I added up all the expenses on the Polynesian, it didn't come to $11,000. It was less, unless I added wrong. Anyway, that was my question. And then also, he didn't provide us with a copy of his nonprofit paperwork, which is required. It was just his business license. So that's why there was confusion.
Okay, and it's possible that we can revisit that with him and ask for that nonprofit paperwork, because that's essential to our work.
Unless I'm missing something. Help me, Scott.
So I did add the line item budget. It looked like it was like 11,100. So it did mirror the request. Yeah.
Okay. And then, but he doesn't have a copy of his nonprofit. Just so we make sure we're clean on that.
Crossing T's and dotting I's. And so at this time, we're going to move on to agenda item number 4, which is our next steps. And I'm going to let Scott jump in for this one. Scott, would you like to?
Yeah, so as you know, we have another scheduled meeting with 6 other applicants on the 21st of September, which starts at 4 o'clock. I guess my suggestion would be is you review those in totality. And then we would talk about reviewing and making some decisions based on the amount of money that we have in terms of the lodging tax fund, and some decisions and recommendations you have to make for the use of those funds. Excellent. So with that, I think we're done unless you have any more questions.
Now, well, does anybody else have anything? Susanna, you've been awfully quiet today. You're on mute, Susanna.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have any questions or anything to add. Thank you.
Did you get enough information out of the presentations?
Yeah, quite a bit. I wrote it all down so I can remember for next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Chad, you're good?
I'm great. So
okay.
I have everything I need. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, it looks like we have reached the end of our agenda. Unless anybody has anything for the good of the order. And if not, then I will call this agenda adjourned. This meeting adjourned. And we will see you all back here on the 21st. Take a look at your packets. Get familiar with the next set of presenters and be prepared. And other than that, have a great night.
Thank you. And Nicole, I like the way she gave us this, so we could click on each one. I thought it was very handy.
I did
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Great. I'm glad that you liked it.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.